welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is January 2nd, 2015. Christina Basanakis joined by Ron Nicoletti.
2015, every time I hear it, I go, what? 2015?
And you're already stirring the pot. You're always causing trouble, always giving us a good laugh. That's our man, Ron Nicoletti. And welcome. Ron, the sun is out.
Nice little breeze. It's a beautiful day here in South Florida. And Christina, we got that huge carryover in the Rainbow Six. 157,000 plus, about 158,000 actually starts in race number 5. We had 2 horses alive going into the last race yesterday. They did not nail it, but one of the horses over there, we actually got a tip on it before the last race. It didn't come to fruition, but we said, uh-oh, somebody might nail the Rainbow Six. It's a fun bet. Starts in race number 5. And the best thing about the bet, it's only a 20-cent wager, so you can add those extra horses and everything like that, and we're going to get one of these days.
Yeah, and the consolation prizes have been pretty good as well, so something to look forward to in the 5th race. But we do have a pretty nice card on tap today, very competitive. We have a lot of let's get to work, Ron, because we do have a lot of ground to cover, and we're going to start with the first race on the card. It is a 50,000 maiden claiming event, a mile on the turf course. We do have a couple of scratches, number 5, number 9 from the also eligibles main track only. Now, Ron, the number 5 scratch was significant for me. That was my top selection in
and
here.
It was mine too, and we just got it a few minutes ago. So number 5, Artie Crasher. Just want to mention before we do get started, the main track today listed as good to start the day, and the turf course listed as good. So factor that into your handicapping. And as we always tell you at Gulfstream Park, if the weather stays beautiful like it is right now during the day, the main track gets fast pretty easy.
Pretty quick. So that'll be something to look at as the day goes on. But we do start with my top selection. I ended up with number 2, and that's Orbit the Galaxy. This is a 4-year-old colt by Bernardini from the Christophe Clement barn. Christophe had a nice winner. He had a nice first-time starter yesterday by Giants Causeway. Win. First out, I'm hoping he can do it again with this one.
And, you know, you got the right connections there. They know how to make horses win on the turf here at Gulfstream Park. I did scratch into number 6, very colorful. This one is dropping in for a tag, stretching out around 2 turns. After showing promise in a couple of maiden special weight sprints going 5 furlongs, Timmy Hills, he's 3 for 5. It's a limited sampling, 60% with horses making similar class drops here. So I just thought I'm a little concerned about the distance in there, but I used very colorful. I used this 7 in there and the number 8 on opening a ticket.
Yeah, I think we were probably in agreement here. We just have them in a different combination. You did use number 8, and I also had the number 6 in there as well, and number 7. So it seems like we're pretty much on par or on the same page in that race. On to the second race on the card, which kicks off the early pick 4. It is a 12-5 maiden claiming event, 6 furlongs on the main track, and I went with number 9. And that is Run It Back. This is a 5-year-old by With Distinction. Came back, Ron, to be a pretty good second last time, and that was off of a pretty decent layoff. So I think that this horse is going to move forward.
Yeah, I only got beat 1.5 lengths in that race. So I did go with the number 3 in here. Who you have in second? We got our exacta flip-flop. Lemon Up is dropping to this $12,500 level. First start since finishing second. That was against $25,000 maidens, but it was at Gulfstream Park West, and it was back on October 16th. Simple handicapping logic points this horse out as to what to beat there on the drop. It hasn't run in a while. So a 3-9-9-3 looked like the logical 2, and I went to the inside with El Grantito for my 3rd pick.
And the reason I didn't use the 3 on top, and you make a very good point, on paper he does look like the one to beat, but I just think there were a couple of breaks in the training. To me, there were a couple of things that I didn't, the consistency, and just in terms of how the horse is going to come back, a couple of red flags for me. So I decided to go in another direction. Hopefully I'll be able to
you want to beat horses like that. You want to try and beat horses like that, because it helps you, because that's where the early pick 4 starts.
Yes.
So you try and get a decent price there, maybe knock some people out, so you get a really nice payoff. And we got 2 pick 4s each and every day, and it's usually the second race in the last 4 races of the day, because on Saturday and Sunday this week, starting now, we'll have 11 races on the card.
So that will be switching up when that pick 4, the late pick 4, starts. Race number 3, it is a 62.50 claiming event, 6 furlongs on the main track. We do have a scratch, number 7, Relativity Factor has been scratched, and also no whip, number 10, Stonejack. Luca Panici, No whip.
No whip for Luca in the third race.
In the third race. So my top selection, I went with number 2, and that's Dreaming of Pete. This is another one that's dropping for trainer Mike Petro. Looks like he's going to be showing speed in here. Now, his last 3 races have been on the turf, and he's switching back to the dirt, although the connections, they know how to get it done with this move.
Yeah, I mean, it looks specifically the one to beat in there with the move. As you mentioned, 3 straight performances on the turf against Stuffer. I went with the number 4, Ludicrous Speed in second. This one turning back to 6 furlongs after rallying 4 wide to finish second, beating a length. It was again similar. It was going a mile. Trainer Gary Jackson, apprentice Eric Rodriguez named to ride, so getting in a little light. And of course, you got number 9, Little Baker on your ticket.
I do have Little Baker, and ridden by Luis Saez. And Luis Saez, as a jockey, who's hotter than him right now? He's just been setting the place on fire.
Yeah, he's been winning. I think he's got like 6 or 7 victories over the last couple of days. I don't know the exact amount, but Luis Saez, certainly a great rider and riding in fantastic form, as you said.
On to the 4th race on today's card, and this is, there's a stake. It's the Bal Harbour Handicap. It is a mile on the main track for 4-year-old fillies, and my top selection. I'm really excited about this race, Ron, because there's a filly that I really liked last time, and I'm probably her growing legion of fans is number 2. That's USS O'Brien. She's coming off of a pair of victories, the latest of which was in the Golden Beach, and that was on December 10th. And she was coming back off a little bit of a layoff. Now, Ron, we were talking about it the other day. She has a very strong sense of self, as I like to say. She got a little bit pumped up here in the
rider here in the walk ring.
Yeah, she just, she's just feeling very full of herself. I actually spoke to Kathy Ritvo that day. She said she was feeling so good that the filly, she dropped him here, and then what does she go do on the track?
She dropped him on the track again, but boy, did this horse run fantastically, in the race. Just drew up, and it was very impressive, and it was one of these little overnight stakes, so stepped up, 2nd consecutive victory. With that said, I'm in agreement that USS O'Brien is definitely on the move to be a really, really good horse. I did go with the number 3, House Rules, and I'll tell you why I went with 3 House Rules over that one. This one is a multiple grade 2 stakes place performer right on this track surface, cutting back to a 1-turn mile. 3 starts, 2 victories at that distance, tracked the pace, faded to finish it. It was a disappointing 7th, but that was in a 9 furlong. It was a grade 3 calmly at Aqueduct. Jimmy Jerkins, the trainer, what a year Jimmy Jerkins has had last year, we should say now with the new year. He's 35% with the 31 to 60 day freshening. Javier Castellano, but I'm not leaving USS O'Brien off any ticket whatsoever.
I will make one point. You said she's graded stakes placed in those races both here at Gulfstream. Look who she finished second to in both of those races. They were Todd Pletcher horses.
Right.
Well, Mr. Pletcher doesn't have a horse in this race, so maybe this is going to be her day. I did use her, and I also threw in number 5, and that's Georgia. I can't leave Marty Wolfson out, and really didn't show anything. That was back in Indiana last time, but I'm thinking, again, she knows how to win here, or she knows how to run well here at Gulfstream, so I'm hoping she's going to run another.
Yeah, I just threw the 4 Tempest Flare in the bottom, showed the depth and respondents for the dirt. Was on the turf in 5 straight races, put her on the dirt, she ran good. So we'll see how that race shapes up. I'm excited to see that one. A little feature race, the 4th race today to Bal Harbour.
Very, very nice race. And then the 5th race, we'll come back. We're just going to take a short break. We'll come back and have a look at that 5th on today's card that kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six.
Gulfstream Park is one of Florida's top entertainment destinations, mixing restaurants, clubs, a casino, and international boutique shops with world-class racing. In a lavish, sun-drenched setting with the feel of a Mediterranean village, Gulfstream is a leading year-round entertainment and tourist destination and the home of luxury residences in 2014. The Stronach family, owners of Gulfstream Park, is committed to the sport of thoroughbred racing and the grace, spirit, and generosity of the horse.
The Rainbow Six is back, and it's better than ever. Now with a 20-cent base wager, it will expand the market for the popular wager. And in addition to doubling the base wager, the percentage return to the winners on the days the jackpot isn't hit is increased to 70%, with 30% going to the carryover pool for the next program. Gulfstream Park, first post, 1240 each and every day.
Welcome back to Gulfstream Park. We're going to have a look at today's 5th race, and it kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six. We have a carryover over $157,000. It is a 20,000 claiming event. Ron, a mile in the 16th on the turf course. We do have a couple of scratches, number 2 and number 4. My top selection, I went with number 7, and that's Imagine That Mom. And I know that you used Imagine That Mom as well. Is going to be ridden by Javier Castellano, and really didn't show pretty much anything in that last race.
Well, we're going to show you that video.
But let's take a look at that last race. And Ron, talk us through it. I know that
you'll just see here the horse falls, and that is Imagine That Mom. So never got a chance to ride in the race. Just got basically eliminated in that race. So just put a line through that. That's Imagine That Mom. As I mentioned, never got a chance. What's going to put it on top? I went with the number 9 in here, 10 Star, because this one is dropping to the $20,000 non-winners of 3 lifetime labor. It first starts since facing allowance competition on the turf here from June to August. The trainer Giuseppe Iacidernia has the son of Dan Zilli. This is what I like. Firing bullets at Palm Meadows on the training track in preparation for the return. Going to have image of that mom on my ticket, but I went with the number 9, 10 Star on top of my ticket.
And I didn't use him, and it's interesting because Giuseppe does a really good job with these horses. These, initially they were European horses, and they ran pretty well here in the United States, and then they've been gone for a while. So he's done very well. I used number 8, and that's Bully Song from the Greg Sacco barn, getting blinkers on here today. I think that's going to sharpen him up. And actually, he ran a pretty good race in his only start on the turf. I think he's going to improve off of that. And also, number 10, Abadoy Kirkzadi, I threw him in the mix.
Yeah, I went with Imagine That Mom, as you mentioned, in Bully Song. So the only thing we're in disagreement in is who we have on top of our ticket. I went with the 9. Christina went with the number 7.
And of course, I'm right, and you're going to.
Of course, I don't even argue that point anymore.
On to the 6th race on the card. It is a 35,000 maiden claiming event, a mile and 16th on the turf course. And we do have a couple scratches from the also eligibles, number 11 and number 12. And this race kicks off the pick 5. My top selection, I went with number 1. And that's Sky Dancing. This is a 3-year-old filly by Sky Mesa from the Mark Casse barn. And this filly only previously run in Kentucky. She was 7 in both of those starts. But Ron, she is a pretty significant drop. And Mark Casse, he's been doing well all over the country, really, over the summer and now through the fall. And he's actually done really well here as well. So I'm looking, she might be a little bit, I'm hoping I'm going to get her a bit of a price.
Well, a little later on, when you see my Rainbow 6 ticket, you're going to see a horse singled in here, and it is the number 10, Fancy Malka.
Wow.
And I'm going to go back and show you what happened to this horse last time out. This horse virtually lost all chance. You'll see it right here. She is the number 12 that day, Fancy Malka. Coming into the first turn, she just gets carried out and virtually, eliminated in that race. She's dropping today to the $35,000 level. As I mentioned, lost all chance. She was carried very wide. That was against $50,000 maidens, a local debut, going a mile in the grass. John Service, Julian Leperoux. I just think this horse, the other horses, to me, there was too many questions with Sky Dancing, getting some needed class relief. And even the number 9 that I used too, Caribbean Princess. So I just thought Fancy Malka, on its past performances, put a line through the last one that was eliminated, might be the one. You have to single something somewhere, so I'm going with a little bit of a shot here with the number 10, Fancy Malka.
That's pretty bold.
Yes.
I like that. We're going to take a stand here in the 6th race, at least Mr. Ron Nicoletti is. I think I would use a couple of horses in that race, personally. However, it's as good a place as any. On to the 7th race on the card. We do have a 25,000 claiming event, and it is a mile on the turf course. We have the scratch of the also eligible, the number 12, Caroline. And this kicks off the late pick 4. And Ron, I went with the number 2, and that's La Inesperada, and a 4th the last time. She was beaten 4 lengths. Edgar Prado was aboard today, and Edgar Prado in a pretty scary looking fall a couple of weeks ago. He's been back. He's been doing well. He's been back in the winner's circle. So I'm going to give this filly another shot. Again, I thought that last race she showed improvement in her first race or in her debut on the turf, and she's getting a little bit of a break here. I
went with the 5 Quiet Kitten in there, and this one is dropping to the $25,000 claiming level. Got parked wide in a local return. That was against $35,000. Optional claimers going a mile on the turf. Trainer Gustavo Delgado. He's 32% with second off a 45 to 180-day layoff, and he's got Paco Lopez in the saddle.
Pretty interesting race, pretty competitive race. I think I also threw in number 8, and that is Brave Ellen. And Ron, let's take a look at Brave Ellen's race, and that was last time out. Now we'll be watching her right here, and she's going to have some issues, and then you can see her
steady there, right? Yeah.
And then you're going to see. So she's lost some valuable ground there, and here we
there
go.
She goes steadies again.
Steadies again. So she has some significant issues. I thought I was going to use her, and I'll throw her back in the mix because, again, that last race I don't really think was indicative of what she's capable of. I think with a cleaner trip, it might. I'm hoping she's going to run back to her earlier form.
Well, I like seeing that because now I'm going to add that one to my Rainbow 6 and Pick 5 ticket. And the Pick 5, by the way, starts in the 6th race today. This kicks off the late Pick 4 of the afternoon, race number 7. And after you see horses like that, sometimes you miss that. You go back and see that horse, with a clean trip, she's going to be right there. So, they did miss it on the morning line. So I just think that we got to add that horse to our ticket.
Looking ahead to the 8th race on today's card is a starter optional claiming event. It is with a claiming tag of $10,000. It is 6 furlongs on the main track. And for race 8, we do have a scratch, number 7, Sherry Angel. I went with the number 8, and that is Tex Appeal from the Jane Sabelli barn. And last time, it was a pretty nice winner, and that was on November 28th, but that was at Gulfstream Park West. Comes back here, pretty significant drop. However, Jane Sabelli, heard her saying earlier that it was a pretty soft bunch on that day, and she thinks that this filly fits here. Yeah,
I mean, I had a tough time with this race. There's a lot of horses in here that are winners. I went with Yastaz, the winner of 3 of its 4 previous races. Then I used the 4 Double Desert, and that one moved to the No Important barn, looking for her 3rd consecutive victory. And the 2, this Key Home, will try and win again, too. So I had a tough time because there's a lot of horses that are winners in there. So help me out in here.
I know. I think we're going to have to use a few in this race. And as you said, you made a really good point earlier, and you were saying that you were going to single in that first leg of the Rainbow 6. You got to take a stand somewhere because some of these races you got to spread.
Yeah, this one you got to go deep in there. I didn't even use the Jane Sabelli horse in a logical choice in there, but when I did, in hindsight, I'll go back and look, I would probably add a horse like that.
On to the 9th race on the card, and it is an allowance. And a mile on the main track, and we do have no scratches, no changes for this race. Larry Colmus will be on in just a few moments to give us all the updated scratches and changes for the day. Ron, my top pick, it looks like we're in agreement, probably for the first time today, or maybe the second. Number 9, and that's Dragonberry from the Todd Fletcher barn, a winner last time out, and that was at Keeneland on October 5th, and a horse that finished behind this filly that day, came back and won. She's really done very little wrong. She's been running at the elite meets. She's been running at Saratoga, up at Keeneland, at Belmont Park, and she really pretty much runs her race. And her numbers in this race, at least for me, they stack up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in total agreement with the number 9, Dragonberry. The horse that I had so much trouble with that I wanted to use on my ticket was the number 6, Lovely Ellie. This one is stretching out to a mile for the first time after showing tons of promise in her 4-race sprint campaign. She's a daughter of Discreet Cat. She's from the Alan Iwinski barn. She's bred to love this distance. I've been watching this horse. I think I picked it a few times.
Okay.
And it didn't win, so I'm going to add it to my ticket.
Well, we're going to catch our man Alan Iwinski later on this afternoon, and we're going to get the skinny, and we'll come back and let you guys know after we get a little bit of the download. But what about Curlin's Gold? I see you didn't use Curlin's Gold. I did, from the Herman Walensky barn. If you look at that last start, we'll take a look at that last race where she was 5th. And Ron, if you see her early on, she has a little bit of trouble, and there she takes back just there. She loses position, which essentially puts her at the back of the group early, and she has to make up ground. Now, if you look at some of her better races in her career, Ron, she seems to be a little bit, or maybe wants to be a little bit closer up. So I'm hoping for a cleaner break for her this time.
And we both used the number 7, Engaging Lee. He's going to face winners, and it's trained by Dale Romans. Dale Romans, his horses are starting to run here, and he's a fixture here at the Gulfstream Championship meeting. So I'm expecting this horse to run pretty good in there today.
Yeah, I had to include her as well. And looking on to the 10th and final race on today's card, and there's super high 5 wagering always in the final race of the day.
$1 wager.
Yeah, it's been pretty well bet
Well, betting pays
Yes.
fantastically, and somebody is a sharp, or a bunch of people are sharp handicappers, because they nail it. If there's a carryover, it doesn't last more than one day, they get it the next day.
Well, because they also play a significant amount of money. So my whole thing is, if you can play into this, and you're the person who's not putting in all that much money in it, you might get lucky, and you might clean up in that race. So it's
how many numbers in a telephone number? Because two, not enough.
So on to that last race on the card, it's a 25,000 maiden claimer and 7.5 furlongs on the turf course, and it is for 3-year-olds. And we do have a few scratches in there. Number 3, 8, 10, 12, and the also eligibles 15 and 16. That really shook things up for me a little bit, because a couple of my choices came out. However, one of my top selections, number 7, Variability, he stayed in from the Terry Pompey barn, and last time came back off of a layoff, and I found a very useful effort. Was only beaten a length and 3/4, was 4th that day in a similar level. At Gulfstream Park West. Ron, I thought I would give this guy another shot.
Well, I scratched into that horse. I had the number 3 a bit quick on top of my ticket. I'm sure you had that horse somewhere on your ticket. And you mentioned Variability cutting back in distance today. That was off a 2-month freshening. As you also mentioned, beating only 1 3/4 lengths against the same level of competition. I went a little bit to the outside in here. 14 Imperial T. Second at this level in its career debut, going a mile across town on the Gulfstream Park West turf. Dropped after tracking the early pace. Fades badly when Lasix was at in recent tests at the $75,000 level. I'm convinced that this horse needs another chance, so I'm going to use the number 14. The trainer's Jose Garofalo. Edgar Prado handling this horse. I think you got a better horse in there like that, and I see you have it on the ticket too.
I do, and I also threw in that number 4, Bull Ensign from the Eddie Pliza barn, and this is a first-time starter from Graham Hall, but Eddie Pliza does such a good job with his horses making their debut. He's almost 25% with those types of horses. So steady work pattern coming into here. Paco Lopez gets aboard. That's Eddie's. Usually he's a top man, and I think I was going to give him a shot.
Well, each and every day I give out a long shot, and my long shot comes in this race, and it's in the ticket. I have it in the 3rd spot here, but I wouldn't be surprised if this horse won, and that's number 9, Rock Me Again. And I'll tell you why. This one is dropping $10,000 on the maiden scale, broke from post 10 last time out, tracked the pace, got beat only 4 lengths in that race, was 57-1 that day. The trainer, Luis Ramirez, he's 29% with a limited sampling of horses making a second start off a 45 to 180 day layoff. This horse did not run that well. The only thing I'm a little sad about is scratches in this race, and this horse is not going to be the big odds that I want him to be because of, just the fact that there's not as many horses in there. Mark my word, this horse could run good in there, and that's the number 9, Rock Me Again.
I like that choice, and I'm interested in that choice because if you look, he stepped up his game when he moved to the turf, and he was probably over his head in several of his other starts. So I'm very interested in this horse, and let's take a look at him in the paddock round. Let's see if we're gonna get involved here on this long shot bet. So that's our 10 race card for today. We do have the Bal Harbour Handicap. That's in the 4th race. That's our stakes action for today. We have the Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six, we got the Super High Five, of course. Tomorrow, on Saturday and Sunday, we have the $50,000 guarantee in the Pick 5 and a $100,000 guarantee in the late Pick 4s, both Saturday and Sunday. And what a day of racing here tomorrow at Gulfstream Park. We got 5 stakes races, so we're just warming up, and it's beautiful out, so we should do really well here this weekend.
We've got plenty to do today, folks. Stick around. A very, very nice 10-race card on tap for this Friday. Ron Nicoletti and I will be back the rest of the afternoon. Stick around, folks.